So, how does a company go from talking about turbulent times to flat out leading a new industrial revolution all in just 6 years? Well, today we're going to dive deep into Nvidia's own official reports to unpack one of the most incredible business transformations we've seen in a long, long time. Okay, it all starts right here. I mean, just look at this. On the left, you've got their 2019 annual review. They're telling stakeholders about a challenging, turbulent year because the whole crypto boom had just fizzled out. Now, flash forward to 2025 on the right. The tone? Completely different. We're entering a new industrial revolution. This time, intelligence is the product. The change is just staggering. So you gotta ask, how on earth did they pull this off? To really understand the how, you first have to follow the money. The story of Nvidia's massive pivot is written all over its financial results. And the numbers, well, they're just mind-boggling. All right, let's set a baseline. For the fiscal year that ended way back in January 2019, Nvidia's revenue was $11.72 billion, which, let's be honest, is a huge number for any company. But just keep that number in your head for a second. Because just 3 years later, for the fiscal year ending in 2022, that number didn't just grow, it went supernova. Revenue hit $26.91 billion. It literally more than doubled. Seeing it laid out like this really puts the scale of that jump into perspective. This financial surge wasn't just about making shareholders happy. This was the war chest. This was the fuel they needed to fund a complete and total reinvention of their entire mission. This was what paid for the revolution. So they've got this huge pile of cash. How did Nvidia actually redefine itself? This wasn't just some marketing team coming up with new slogans. No. This was a fundamental shift in their entire technological blueprint, and it's all right there, documented in their own words. This timeline is absolutely fascinating. In 2019, you see their mission was advancing GPU computing. They were the graphics card guys, right, making powerful chips. But then the world started realizing that those same chips were perfect for training AI, so their vision got bigger. By 2022, they're an end-to-end accelerated computing platform. And then, fast forward to today, 2025, and look at this. Building the infrastructure of intelligence. They're not just selling chips anymore. They're building the very foundation for the entire age of AI. So what does that grand phrase, infrastructure of intelligence, even mean? Well, their 2025 report defines it for us. It's a full-stack ecosystem capable of delivering end-to-end AI factories. Think about that. They see themselves as the architects and the construction company for the factories that produce artificial intelligence, just like the old factories produce cars and steel. And their ambition didn't just stop with the cloud and data centers. No way. This quote from 2025 shows you the next frontier for them, physical AI. We're talking about robots, self-driving cars, all sorts of smart machines. The intelligence they're building isn't just going to live on a server somewhere. It's designed to see, think, and act right here in our physical world. Now, a vision that big requires a very specific kind of internal engine to make it all happen. So how did Nvidia actually structure its leadership and, its incentives to steer this massive ship through such a radical change of direction? This table, right from their 2019 proxy statement, is incredibly revealing. You got to look at how they paid their top people. It wasn't just some random bonus. Nope. Their pay was tied directly to 3 key things: growing revenue, managing costs to boost operating income, and, this is the crucial one, delivering a high total return to shareholders over a 3-year window. That whole structure incentivized not just growth, but smart, sustainable, long-term growth. And what's really interesting is that while the company was going through this massive revolution, its leadership was remarkably stable. The board had these long-serving independent members like Robert Burgess and Mark Perry, who've been there since 2011 and 2005. That points to a really steady, consistent hand guiding the strategy, not a team that's panicking and changing course every 5 minutes. And this commitment to thinking long-term is still baked into their DNA. Just this year, in 2025, the board actually told shareholders to vote against a proposal that would have made it easier for investors with, let's say, short-term goals to force a special meeting. Their whole argument was about protecting the company from narrow interests that could throw a wrench in their long-range plans. But look, no journey this big is ever a straight line up. To get the full picture, we have to look at what Nvidia itself says are the biggest challenges coming up. These are the risks that keep the lights on late at night at a technology titan. Yeah, their own reports are super clear about the threats. First up, intense competition. And we're not just talking about the usual suspects like AMD and Intel. We're talking about their own biggest customers, the huge cloud companies that are now designing their own chips. Second, there's the massive challenge of guessing customer demand. You get it wrong, and you either have way too many chips or not nearly enough. And third, the constant threat of global business disruptions, especially with so much of their supply chain concentrated in Asia. Which really leaves us with this one final thought. Over 6 incredible years, Nvidia completely transformed itself. They built what they call the factories for the new age of intelligence. But in a world where the competition is getting fiercer by the day and global risks are everywhere, the ultimate question is this: can they build a moat deep enough and wide enough to defend the revolutionary kingdom they've created?